There I found out a lot about the history of Goa and how the Portuguese also influenced like the music from Goa to Macau. And I told Dad, like, Dad, my boss is gonna hook us up to meet Placido Domingo. And so my dad was like, you're not that big, he doesn't want to meet you and stuff. My boss called me and said, go and take a picture and talk to him. And I was so nervous. I was like, hi. I asked him, like, do you have any advice on how to be an opera singer? And he was like, just keep working hard and one day we might sing together. And I was like, that made it for me. Sta in fronte a te.
Whoa, wow. Hi everyone, Bawa Boininu. Welcome to Kiss Me, I'm Goan, another refreshing episode. And this one is actually I'm looking forward to. Well, I was looking forward to it for quite some time because it's got two things.
Okay.
One is another Goan diaspora.
Okay.
And a second is classical music.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we said, right, from day one. It's about the meeting Goans from different parts of the world and seeing how it's impacted. So, yeah, even I'm
and to
excited.
find a Goan in classical music is kind of a rare find, wouldn't you say?
Well,
Yeah, a little bit we grew up with, maybe I had my violin classes with the maestri and all that.
You play the violin?
I had violin classes, like in the sense my mom had this guy coming over home and, I just only did the solfege, whatever you call it, do, re, mi, and that's it. And, but yeah.
Anyways.
Let's get.
You got a lot to talk about, so I think we'll have to get to our guest. So with us today we have Orlando. Orlando, thank you very much for joining us on the show. I'm going to try and do justice to your bio because there's a lot of English which is beyond me actually, or other languages, but forgive me in advance. So Orlando's journey started into the world of music at a very early age at the Macau Anglican College and the Macau Conservatory of Music, where he basically focused on vocal performance. He continued his education at the Cambridge School of Visual and Performing Arts in UK, earning a degree from the University of Surrey in Guildford, and completed his master's degree in vocal performance at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. His performances have captivated audiences across Macau, where he has been born and brought up, basically. And he has appeared at numerous events, including the Rui Cunha Foundation, Club Militar de Macau, and the Dom Pedro Quint Theatre. In Cardiff, he moved to the UK from Macau. In Cardiff, he has performed at St. David's Hall and the BBC Houdinot Hall. His credits include Fauré's Requiem, Stravinsky's Symphony of Psalms, Verdi's Requiem at the BBC Proms at the Royal Albert Hall. He made his oratorio debut as a soloist in Rossini's Petite Messe Solennelle with the Cardiff Chamber Choir, and he achieved another significant milestone by making his debut as a principal chorus tenor for opera on location, further solidifying his growing reputation in the world of opera.
Oof, bravo. I feel like I'm in the balcony right now.
Exactly. I mean,
wow.
So yes, I mean, congratulations. The bio speaks volumes of where you've achieved at a very young age, that too. So congratulations, and once again, welcome to
the show.
Thank you so much for having me here as well.
Yeah.
Without further ado, my famous question, are you Goan?
Yes, I am definitely Goan. I was born in Goa.
Okay.
So from Porvrem, Sukkur.
Okay.
But then right after I was born, we moved to Macau.
All right.
Because my parents were working in Macau, so then
Right.
I went with them. But then that's where I basically grew up and, did my high school up to, what we have 12th standard in Goa.
Yeah.
So in Macau, it's Form 6. And
But
yes,
was it a international school or something like that?
international school.
Okay,
It was one of the few international schools that were in Macau.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from then on, you went to...
So then from then I went to UK and did all of this.
Okay, all right, okay. And now coming to Macau, which we are very much...
Wait, hold on. Let's talk a little bit. Hold on, sorry. I'm interested to know. So, I mean, that's what we ask everyone.
Yeah.
Carrie's really excited about the Macau part. You can see that.
Yeah.
But I just want to get into it. So, you said you grew up in Macau.
Yeah.
You moved at a very early age. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4. How old were you?
I can't remember how old I was. Probably, I would say like 2, 3, somewhere around that age. Maybe even younger.
Okay.
Can't remember.
So, and then schooling in Macau.
Yeah, schooling
were you all
from-
guys in Goa every year or?
So during summertime, I think we would go to Goa yearly.
Okay.
So just there
Holidays
for
kind of
holidays
thing,
for 2 weeks, and then see my siblings, my brother and sisters who were in Goa schooling there. So
Okay.
I'd come and see them and then go back. But then after I graduated from high school, because I was in the UK, then I didn't go to Goa.
Right,
so I only
got
went
it.
for my sister's wedding, and
Right,
I'd only
right.
go
Okay.
for special.
So straight from
occasions.
Macau to UK,
Yeah,
basically.
so I haven't been from 2016. Then the last time I went was like 24.
Okay.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, just like no, 22 actually. 22.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a couple of years back.
Yeah,
Okay,
2 years back. Yeah.
So
Yeah, good.
growing up in Macau with your parents and all, were you like exposed to like Goan culture, traditions?
Not so much. I mean, I would always hear about it. You know,
Okay.
I knew about the music, like, and obviously, mom and dad would cook food,
Right,
like
right,
Goan
right, of
food,
course.
like shakoti, sarpatel, all that.
All
kind
right,
of stuff.
okay.
So I used to enjoy growing up, like having all that food. But in terms of the Goan culture, not so much. Like as I grew up, you know, I started hearing and learning more about it, and it was only during COVID that I actually took an interest in like Goan history and understanding how the link between Goa and Macau came about in terms of the music aspect of it, because that's what I was doing while I was working at the diocese as an archivist. So there I found out a lot about the history of Goa and how the Portuguese also influenced like the music from Goa to Macau, because they apparently brought musicians from Goa to Macau to teach people in Macau music. And so
interesting.
that was a huge. So there is this book that was written by someone from Macau as part of his thesis, but then made it into a book. It's about all the history of music from Goa to Macau and all the different influences. So yeah, he mainly speaks about Goa because it was a port. Port, and so they branched out into Macau, and that was always fascinating that they have
so actual Goan musicians would go and teach
and like even compositions from priests or musicians from Goa like were in Macau, and they started this marching band. What we know as the police marching band, who they play for the processions, for the like religious when we have the beginning of Lent, so Bon Jesus or Good Friday or Corpus Christi, we have the police band. Initially it was a Goan who trained the police marching band to play all this music. And for
so when you say
events.
the police band, you mean like this is the band which plays for the police? The
like
Macau police.
they actually police.
So they would come and actually play for y'all guys, like for the church or something like that.
For any
and they are fully aware of the compositions and the music.
So they would play like the funeral march, you know.
Or, got it.
Like for Good Friday or for beginning of Lent that we would have. And then procession, they would play like Panis Angelicus. So it's all brass instruments and with a drum. So it's very steady paced.
So so that you were saying was taught by the Goans in the sense way back.
So there's this book called, I think it's The Marching Band, written by Osvaldo something. I can't remember.
That's the one which you spoke about where
so there's a whole chapter about Goa.
Interesting. We'll put it put it on our caption for the readers.
So, I mean, one of the things that Carrie and I share is that we grew up in the Middle East, as you mentioned, Goa and Dubai and Qatar. And one of the things that kept the culture alive a little bit was family events. You know, you always met other families, and we were talking about it some episodes back where there were the dances, at home and stuff like that. Any experiences of that growing up, remember?
So in Macau, every year we have something called Lusofonia. And Lusofonia is where all the Portuguese-speaking countries come together and they have this weekend of music, dance, food. So it's like a little carnival festival.
But
kind
it's
of
all
thing.
like Angola, Mozambique,
Yeah, so
all
all
of
the
them would
Brazil.
come
So
together.
in Brazil
yeah.
stall, they would be famous for the caipirinhas.
Yeah,
So you would
yeah.
have a long line of people having caipirinhas. Then you have all, like our Goan stall would be there. So
Okay.
they'll sell like some pão sorpatel,
Yeah. Very
pão
nice.
choris,
And it's still happening.
it's still happening.
Oh,
This
wow.
year, apparently, they're doing 2 weekends of it. Normally,
Okay.
it's just 1 weekend of it, but this year they're doing 2 weekends of
Oh,
it
nice.
to promote. So part of it, they bring Goan bands from
Okay.
Goa to
Oh,
Macau
Okay.
to perform and to do dances, and they also bring a chef from Goa to cook. For the festival.
Very
and
nice. See,
thing.
I mean, we were not aware.
Yeah.
I don't think Goan audience also is aware of this.
Yeah, I mean, so is there like a kind of a club?
Yeah, so we have an association, like a
Oh,
Goan
okay.
association, and so they go to Goa, pick the band and the dancers and who they
Wow.
want, and so they bring them to Macau, and so that was a thing before COVID, and then when
Okay.
COVID happened, nothing really happened. So it was just local people performing. So during COVID, I had the opportunity to sing some Goan songs, even though my Konkani is horrendous.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "You should have come to me for Konkani lessons."
But you tried.
I tried my best, but it was simple songs like Ya Ya Maya Ya, and all
Okay.
those like well-known Konkani songs.
Right.
Tamre Rosa.
Yeah, all that. Oh,
yeah.
nice. Wow.
Well, you're better than us, that's for sure. But if I mean, I'm going to put you in the spot, but
Yeah.
if just a ballpark, what would be the number of Goans in Macau? 1,000?
No,
5,000?
It wouldn't be. It's a very small Goan community in Macau, so it would be roughly, say, like 80 or
Oh, really?
something.
Oh,
Like less
small.
than 100, I would say.
Okay.
Was it more in the past? Was it more? I mean, to your
don't
knowledge.
No, I mean, we were similar. Like, we didn't have a lot of people in it. So
Okay,
it was a
okay.
very small community.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a lot, like 1,000 or anything. It was
Okay,
always
okay.
below 100.
Very low. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So everyone kind of
Yeah,
knew everyone.
everyone knew everyone.
You knew everyone
Yeah.
by name.
But they would do something, like in the sense in terms of an event or.
Yeah, so
some-
Lusophonia was one of them.
Okay,
And then
okay.
part of the other thing is we would go on a trip together. So
Okay.
the Goan Association would organize a trip to Thailand or Philippines
Ah,
together, like
okay.
because during the end of September and October is the China National Day, so we have a long weekends of that.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we
yeah,
normally
break.
tend to go during that time.
Right. So
to
all the
Philipp-
families would get
yeah,
together.
families and like other people are going. So they would
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on
yeah.
this trip, spend a week or so, and then we would also have a dinner together. So it's to celebrate the achievements or just the association
Nice.
itself.
Even though it's
Yeah.
small, I think it's a nice thing.
Commendable.
To do.
I
Yeah,
mean,
of
for
course,
like
yeah.
100 people on average to be
Yeah.
actually organizing bands coming to Goa to Macau, bringing in a chef. I mean, you need to say hats off to that community
Of
for
course.
keeping their traditions alive.
Of
you know, I
course,
mean,
and it's
so
We have
easily-
20,000 here.
Yeah.
What's that we don't we do it?
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I
there
mean,
are
there are
things over
pockets,
here.
like, but
There
still,
are,
it's
but,
not. You want to see everyone
Of
together
course,
in a
that's
way.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. Also, one part of our show where we want Goans to come together.
No,
Yeah.
and also
That's-
like I just realized, that we have Goa Day in UK now.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
London,
yeah, yeah.
And that was something
Oh.
that I never knew until a couple of weeks back that they do Goa Day and they celebrate Goans and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Goan music and like Lorna and
Yeah.
like all these
They bring
artists.
acts
yeah.
and there's quite a lot. I believe like
They do. I
10,000
think,
people.
I
Yeah.
mean, not just London, right? They do it all over. I mean, they have multiple places. where
As
they
far
do it.
as I know, only London, but they do two.
Yeah.
They do
okay.
two
Yeah.
events. Like there is
Okay.
another, how Goans are.
Yeah,
like
of
one,
course.
one
One-
club,
no.
another club.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that's Goa for you.
What about just a little bit into it, what about food? You mentioned a little bit, you said choris pao and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
they sell like bibinka. So they have someone who makes bibinka and sells
Okay.
them, samosas, croquettes, and snacks.
What is your favorite?
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
Oof, for me, risois.
Okay.
Pao
Okay.
sorpatel or choris for me.
Okay.
But if it was like home cooked meal,
Yeah.
like whenever I go back home to Macau, and the first thing on the call when I tell mom, please make for me is, and excuse my konkani, but
Yeah.
samariche kori.
Okay.
Samar Kori. That's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Samar Chekodi is...
It's like that dried prawns and
Yeah. The
and
small
dried mango
prawns.
you put inside.
Okay.
With
Yeah, got it. No, now I
Yeah.
got it. He's right. What he's saying is right. But
Okay.
yeah, Samar Chekodi.
It's like,
He's-
is it
It's
dried prawns?
Yeah, dried prawns.
Okay.
Small
The small
dried prawns. And
ones,
then
okay.
they put like a raw dried mango, I think it is.
Yeah,
not
I think
dried.
so. Yeah,
raw
okay.
mango or
You're right.
something in it.
Interesting.
And
so
then
you
choris.
look forward to that. You
That
tell your
and
mom.
choris, like that's
choris,
a
okay.
perfect combination.
But how
with
you
both.
would get the choris? Like
From Goa.
someone from
Yeah,
Goa
we would
come.
like whenever mom and dad goes to Goa, like they would bring some chorises back.
And one thing also I've noticed, I just thought of it now. Pastel the Nata
Yes.
is famous in Macau, right?
Famous in Macau. So we have the Lord Store's bakery, and
Okay.
that's so like well known in Macau, and tourists always go
Okay,
to
and
buy
it's
it.
really good.
It's really good.
Okay.
And if you were going to have the debate whether the Portuguese did it better or Macau did it better,
Oh wow, it's that good.
It's that good because
Oh
it's
my
always a
God,
debate.
okay.
And I've had the one where they have actually originated in Belém, in
Okay.
Lisbon.
Yeah.
I think the Macau one is better.
Oh,
in my
really?
opinion,
Okay,
I know I
wow,
might
okay.
get some haters.
We got to make a note of that.
Yeah. But
So-
the Lord Stores.
So you've been to Lisbon and eaten over there as well?
From Belém. Yeah.
Okay.
Belém is the famous one.
Yeah,
It's the
okay.
famous one.
But I think the one in Lord Stores, it's creamy, and the paste, the tart itself is crispy as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
Because why I said it is because now it's come to Goa.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, we never had it,
Yeah.
honestly. So it's very strange that they're marketing it now in Goa
Yeah.
and saying it's like, I think some say it's Goan, but it's not actually Goan, but it's Portuguese.
That's
End of
true.
the day, it's
Yeah.
Portuguese. So yeah, that's so. But good to know your favorite dish. Unusual. Like one guest said, what is that? Kevin said
Admas.
Admas.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Which is
Admas.
rare, nobody
Yeah.
says that. So he
Yeah.
said Admas, which was quite interesting.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
but
it's, I don't know whether it's more of the palate of the South Goan versus the North Goan, but sometimes I feel that the South Goans are a little bit more into your admas and your sorpotels and your stuff like that, whereas the North Goans, maybe I'm wrong on it.
Yeah,
It's
for
a
me,
little
I
bit
love
different.
sorpatel, and that's like another thing. I have like a list that I give mom. I was like, I need sorpatel, like shakati, or like all these things.
Yeah,
like biryani and all those food.
So coming now to how did the move to UK happen? Like,
So when I was in 11th, 10th standard, so when I was studying, we did something called IGCSE. So it's like the British
Yeah.
board exam.
yeah.
And by that point, I was figuring out what am I going to do with my life. I love music. That's all I've known.
So
to
did you
love.
do anything in Macau, like in terms of music? Did
So
you like?
yes, I studied part time in the Conservatoire of Music in Macau.
Okay.
But I was singing, and I knew I enjoyed singing. But then, I had a dilemma of, do I do musicals or do I do classical music? And at that time, I was so convinced that I wanted to go into Broadway. I wanted to do play Aladdin, the genie, and all that kind of stuff. But then I went into the conservatoire, and they teach you the basics of singing. So, you start at the opera, all the
opera classics.
and how you build your techniques, your breathing, your body. How do you use them? And I fell in love with it because you were singing in Italian, you were singing in German, French, English, and I loved it.
Right.
And as a kid, the way I got into opera and it comes like a full circle.
Yeah.
Is the three tenors.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Dad used to always play the three tenors, and I have like a vivid remembrance of this, where I would stand in front of the TV and conduct or sing.
Okay.
in front, with the three tenors, and I used to adore Pavarotti.
Okay.
And I remember that the day he died, I'd come from school and Dad called and he asked, he said, go turn on the TV.
Yeah.
Pavarotti died, and I didn't believe him, and I saw, and I just sat there and cried.
Oh.
Really?
Because he was my idol. I loved his voice, his emotions that he had. It was just so powerful. And for me also, Placido Domingo.
Yeah, Placido Domingo.
And luckily I got to meet him when he came
really?
to Macau.
Wow, okay.
And we had front row seats. And I was working in the hotel during that time in the summer during school, in a part-time job. And so my boss was also at the concert. And I told Dad, like, Dad, my boss is gonna, hook us up to meet Placido Domingo. And so my dad was like, who are you? You know, no one, like, you're not that big. He doesn't want to meet you and stuff. Yeah. And so Dad went home and, and everything. And I went to the hotel, and then my boss called me and said, go and take a picture and talk to him. And I was so nervous. I was like, hi.
Wow. Was there like a crowd of people like trying to meet him?
I mean, there was a lot of like photographers because it was a private event.
Okay.
So it was like an after party after the concert.
Okay.
So it was just, the bosses or VIPs and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Got it.
And so I asked him, like, do you have any advice on how to be an opera singer? And he was like, just keep working hard and one day we might sing together. And I was like,
wow.
that made it for me.
So Dad kind of influenced you as far as...
So Dad he loves music. He loves to sing, play the piano. And, when I was younger, like, he would always teach me a bit of singing. And also how to like play piano, and he was always encouraging me to do it.
Nice.
But now that I've decided to do it, he's been super supportive, and now he would ask me to teach him. It's how so like with piano, and how do you do this and the chords and all that kind of stuff. So like sometimes I teach him or help him out with the music aspect of it as well.
Yeah, it's good.
So then on you decided to do your further
studies in music. So I just love it. When I did it in Cambridge, it was like a taster of what was going to be like. And then when I went to university, it wasn't so much of a performance aspect of it. It was super academic. So a lot of essay writing. I mean, we did have the performance element, but again, it was fully academic. Then I came back during COVID, and that's when I started having more performance experience. So doing performances at like Rui Cunha and Club Militar.
So that's when you moved to UK and then you came back to perform
because
in
of
Macau.
Because of COVID as well. So that gave me the opportunity to perform.
Okay.
And to just build up that experience.
Is it a strong classical scene in Macau?
Not so much. I mean, it is done quite often.
Okay.
But it's more on the instrumental side than singing.
Right. Than singing.
Again, you don't have a lot of opera singers coming out of Macau.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a very rare thing as well. So so I used to do concerts, and a lot of people would come to watch these concerts, and it was nice. But then again, I didn't feel like I was fully developed. I knew what I was doing, but not 100%. It was just building that confidence experience. But then also I knew I wanted to come back and do my master's to really learn, proper techniques, really develop the voice. Because for an opera singer, and especially for a tenor, your voice fully matures when you're at the age of 30.
Okay.
So like no, at this point I'm still developing my voice.
Still
learning how to really use my body, use my techniques.
It takes time.
And it's all about building that physicality at the moment. So part of these 2 years in masters, it was so physical because it is all focused on performance. So teachers would be so harsh, and they expect like 100%, more than 100%, and you always had to deliver, and it was
got it.
It always feels like it's never enough, but that's when you're actually doing a better job, because it'll always feel like you're never giving enough, although you're giving so much. And you just be exhausted. Like
you've had good professors who have really.
I've had really good singing teachers, and one of my singing teachers that I've had the 2 years, she was singing with Pavarotti.
Oh, wow.
So it was, and then she would always tell me in singing lessons, being like, oh, Pavarotti used to sing like this, so you must sing like this as well. And it was, she was Italian lady.
Of course.
And she was such a lovely person, and...
But of course, you don't really kind of mimic them, right?
No, you don't.
You have to come up your own style with your own voice.
And that's something that, when I started my master's, that was one thing they were always saying to me, like, you're trying to sound like someone else. You have to have your own voice, because part of like my bachelor's and when I did my studies at Cambridge, I was trying to mimic someone else. And a bit of like Pavarotti as well, growing up, you'd always have that voice. But now I finally like understood, okay, how do I use my own voice? And it's starting to develop to that point now where it is my own voice, and it sounds like, when people hear it, it's like, oh yeah, it kind of sounds like this one and that one, but you try not to like hone in too much on what they're saying, because at the end of the day, it's your own voice, and you're trying to, it's your own characteristic of your own voice.
Of course.
So
Of course.
I mean, obviously, you are influenced.
Yes, you are.
I mean, that's part of growing up, right? And that's part of
Exactly.
I would say, the journey where somebody influences you, and you'll always want to look up to your idol.
That's true.
But
That's
so
true.
I can understand where perhaps you had this certain image in your mind where, okay, I need to be like XYZ person. And then now, of course, you'll have to come out of it and,
Of course. And like there's sometimes where I look at music, say for example Pavarotti has done, and be like, oh, I would like to sing that one day, but it's not for right now, but it's for the future, because again, with the voice development, you can't do songs that might damage your voice. So it's a very sensitive thing that you have to choose music that will fit your voice at the current development, because if
Okay.
you do something too big too soon, that's career done immediately. So I mean, you can start working on them, but you can't do it fully until a certain
Oof, my God, the voice is...
So what you said was your voice is matured somewhere around the age of 30.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when you can then venture into...
Yeah, I think
would
again,
say
it's still it
top
depends.
end.
Yeah, well, it still depends on how your voice grows. So it's 30s is when it's fully matured, but again, it really depends on person to person how it could develop much earlier, it could develop much later. It really depends, but you just gotta work and trust that your body will do it for you.
No, I just thought when you said about maturing, and you've seen those Italian, those three boys, they performed at American Idol, Il Divo and Il Volo.
Yeah.
They must have been how old when they performed?
I mean, again, it really depends on each person. Sometimes the voice just clicks and it happens,
Yes.
and it really develops. Sometimes it takes time to really...
Right.
So it really depends person to person.
Got it.
You can't force it, or it happens naturally, I guess.
Okay.
And the Italians, they always have that loud, bright, resonant
true.
voice, so for them it's always
I think it's
easier.
like in the blood, sort of,
it is in the
way.
blood, because even my Saint teachers say, we Italians, we sing so loudly, we can speak so loudly, So
and what about you've lived in Macau, right?
Yeah.
Any Macanese element to your, like, did you take something from there as well into your singing, or anything from that culture?
So I mean, there were a few Chinese songs that I've learned, and one of them is so famous, even it's a Cantonese song,
Right.
but people from mainland China, and they know the song because it's like Canto pop.
Right, yeah.
80s,
Got it.
90s. So it's quite well known.
So you've sung in Cantonese as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even in school, we had to sing all these like Mandarin songs for like
got
Chinese
it.
New Year. And
Yeah.
So
you kind of brought up with that.
Yeah.
And I think China's also kind of known for classical.
It is known. And you have very good singers from China as well who compete in big competitions. You would always see, these Chinese people with such an amazing voice. But yeah, I'm at least in somewhere from China, but not from Macau. We haven't had anyone yet.
Yeah.
From Macau.
And now coming to back to UK, is it hard now for let's say an Indian to get into the music scene?
Not really. I think
Is it changing?
It is changing. So at the moment, I think they care about the voice rather than...
They don't really see your...
No. And and they always cater to that diversity.
Right.
You always have this inclusivity and diversity in UK, and they try to have as many different people as they can on these shows. So they don't really care about whether you're Indian or skin color or anything like that. It's all about the voice and whether you can actually perform the role, appropriately.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Just moving a little bit further on that. So, for example, you've completed your masters already. Okay, so now you are based in London, or you are
So I'll be moving to London soon.
Okay.
So I'm based in Cardiff, but I'll be moving to London soon.
Okay, so the goal, I mean, I say the next step for you would be to start working in the industry in London.
Yes. So I mean, I've already signed a contract with this opera company called Hertfordshire Opera.
Okay.
And so we're doing Mozart's Così fan tutte, which is a brilliant opera. It's a 2.5-hour opera, so I'll be the main role for it. Super excited because it's like my first full role that I'll be doing, and it's exciting, and with an orchestra as well. And they have people to teach you the Italian and vocal coach and stuff like that. So
when you say 2.5 hours full role, you mean like most of the time you would be
singing?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there is an interval in between.
Yeah, of course.
But you are singing.
But you're given that like lead sort of in
the
a
lead
way.
singer.
Yeah. Got it.
And for Così fan tutte, there's only one tenor role for it, and the rest are like bass singers and sopranos and all that. But there's only one role for the tenor, and that's it.
So this is your first one, which would be like a full
first
role.
Major role.
Major role.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, in line with what you were saying, it's not as difficult as, or maybe your. Let me put this right. I mean, I think perhaps your skill set has got you this main role that you've got in here. So congratulations on that. But for the average,
but I think back in the past, I don't know how.
I don't think this is okay. Let me put it this way to you. You got the role. You got this thing. Were you surprised when you got it, or was it kind of expected?
Well, I have this mentality of expect the unexpected.
Okay.
Because if you always have that expectation, then the disappointment will hurt more. So for me, I always take things with a pinch of salt. And if I don't get the roles or I don't get certain things, it's not the end of the world, and I just kind of move on because there's more to life, I think. So I just brush it off, and I know there'll be more opportunities and more things coming my way, so I don't take it to heart, really.
I mean, you're telling us about again, it's struck on me as far as there's a certain, it's the journey. I mean, it's almost like becoming a doctor. You can't just you can't graduate and then be a doctor on day one.
No,
so there's always that period. They call it like an internship or whatever they call it. They do residency. They work for like 5-6 years. You gain the experience, and then that's when you're at certain point you're like, okay, now I'm ready to start. I can handle the patient myself, as you may call it. So I think you're still you got your journey still on as far as that is concerned.
For sure.
I mean, and it's great that the opportunity came your way and you've been able to grab it with open arms.
Of course, and it's also the yes mentality. Sometimes, like, I know I'm terrified about starting this whole new production by myself. Not having a teacher next to me. Okay, you got to do this and this. It's like figuring things out yourself. So how do I memorize 2.5-hour opera in Italian, the music itself, the staging, where you're moving, who you're interacting with, the emotions you're playing. So it's all about these different things.
You have to memorize all the things, right?
Memorize
Oh
everything.
my God.
And for me, like, memorization is such a hard thing because I struggle with that. And even when we have concerts or recitals, it takes me a long time to memorize, like even if it's a one piece. And especially, I mean...
And you have to get it right,
yes,
of course.
And for me, Italian is a lot easier because of Portuguese. But if it was German or French, I struggle so much. And with German, it's even harder because you're getting the...
True.
So I really struggle with the German because it took me... There was one piece that I did. It took me like 6 months to learn. One piece, because it's just getting that muscle memory.
It's very harsh on the
and then that too is speaking itself is already hard, but singing it is a whole different level because you have to get the words so clear and the pronunciation of it. It's so difficult.
You've sung in Portuguese as well.
Portuguese, I mean, not so much, but again, Konkani. Singing in Konkani and Chinese as well.
Hindi, never.
No,
there's no Hindi.
No, I've never done Hindi.
So, I mean, growing up, were you much into languages?
Not really. Actually, as a kid, I hated like learning Chinese. I mean, it was one of those things that I think it was.
I think it was more of Cantonese, no, in Macau.
No, in school we had to learn Mandarin because it was compulsory. But I was kind of like, I'm never gonna be here in Macau, so there's no point in learning. And I've carried that attitude throughout my high school. But then, I still learn Mandarin and Cantonese with my friends, whatever. But
Just to get around, you needed
get
to know a
around.
little
But then
bit,
now coming back, and during a COVID, especially when I was working, and you would interact with people, and like Chinese is more spoken now than before, and you're kind of like, oh, I have to really speak Cantonese or Mandarin, and sometimes I mix the two. So sometimes
Okay.
I like, if I can't remember the word in Cantonese, I'll speak Mandarin, and vice versa.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, you see, it's interesting. I mean, I struggled with your bio a little as far as English words were concerned, but I mean, I'm just thinking it's not just about. We use the word mugging. It's not about just mugging the language, because when you pronounce it, it has to be proper. It has to be accurate. And then add singing onto it. That makes it that much more difficult.
Exactly.
I mean, now, for example, do you have like an Italian teacher, a language teacher, who will be supporting you as you get ready for this role?
So I'm not really sure if they have like a language coach.
Okay.
But I know we do have a vocal coach who will be
Okay.
helping us with techniques and what to do with our body and the physicality aspect of it. But I'm not sure if we will have a language coach. But like I am confident enough that I know the Italian quite well, and if not, like I always look online and try to double
got it,
check
of
or
course. Now
listen to
thanks to-
recordings
yeah.
on Spotify and
Correct.
But normally like because again it's very similar to Portuguese, so you can kind of, what you see is what you speak kind of thing. German, it's different, and it's harder to figure out. You have to really learn the language and the dialects and those
Got
things
it,
like
got
that. Yeah.
I studied hospitality, and I had at one point in the 3-year course, I moved to Switzerland for like 6 months to a year, and so they got us ready. They had to get us ready because we were living in the German part of Switzerland, closer to Zurich. So they taught us German. So they got in a German teacher for like 3 months prior to us taking a flight to Zurich. And a very nice gentleman taught us all the German words, German letters, numbers, basic how to get about, you go your shopping and stuff like that. And on day one, we reach Zurich, and we realize that the German in Zurich is
So
a lot different than what the German in Germany is. Even as far as the numbers were concerned. So it was kind of like a cultural shock for us. I mean, of course, you're in a new place, but then suddenly you realize the people are saying, for example, I remember, just to put out one thing, was in German you said the number is 5, if I'm not mistaken, but the Swiss don't say it 5, they say it as 4 or something. It's a very huge thing. So we were actually looking at faces wondering what the hell's happening.
But it's also the same, like Austria German and German. It's so different, because our German teacher at the Royal Welsh, she was from Austria.
Okay.
Lovely lady, but she would always like tell us, oh, this is the difference between Austrian
They
German
don't like the
and-
Germans. That's another thing.
But she was such a lovely teacher as well. She would be like, mein Kinder. It's like my darling.
Kids, yeah. So very quickly, favorite language you'd mug, I would say. Which one do you like as far as the hearing it to the ear? Italian, German, French, Portuguese?
Spanish.
Oh, really?
For me,
okay.
there's something about Spanish that I don't know, excites me a lot, and even singing in Spanish. So there are a lot of operas, they call it zarzuela.
Okay.
And I just love Spanish operas because you have the passion of love, you have the sadness, death, everything about it, but the music itself, it's so captivating. The drama, the element of it, it's just
So you would like, of course, Placido Domingo and Jose Carreras and all that.
Of course, and also they've got Juan Diego Flores.
Okay.
So quite a lot of Spanish.
I wanted to also come into, like, say, now, looking at our Goan audience, not many, we've grown up with, pop, rock, and it's a very little small, I would say, in the classical. What would you say to, like, the youngsters today who may be wanting to get into, like, classical music, be it orchestra or maybe even singing? what would your advice be to them in the sense if they want to? Maybe they're like I don't think there's a future in it. It doesn't look like.
Well, the reality is, yes, it is a very tough industry, and especially now with all the different genres of music, classical music is slowly dying, like opera is slowly dying, and that's a fact. But, if you truly,
it's a very niche, particular niche.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But again, if you go to Europe, in UK or Italy, Germany, France, it is still so big there. Even in the US, for that matter, you have the Met, you have, all these things where...
In the park, and they would have these free concerts, I think they would have.
Exactly, and it's still so big, and there's still a lot of opportunities to be an opera singer or to be an orchestral player and stuff like that. Because they used to have a lot of symphony orchestras, around the world, and they do so well, and... So it's, if you really are passionate about it, if you love classical music, just keep going, and don't listen to the people that will put you down. That's one thing, people always say to me, classical music is no longer, good anymore, or no one, you're not going to get hired, you're not, you should do something else because opera isn't stable and things like that, or classical music isn't stable. But, because I'm so passionate about it, I love it.
Yes.
I don't really care because that's what I love about it.
And I can see that you did your study as well, your deep study when you said about these Goans coming and teaching.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. I think if you go deep into the roots and also, especially, I don't know what can be done. I can see people doing something with Konkani as well.
Yeah.
And in fact, they have these, I think, recitals in the Basilica Church.
Yes, because I
Goa.
think last year or something they did this Handel Messiahs for Christmas and Easter, I think.
Correct. You're talking about that big choir?
Stuti choir.
Stuti, yes. In fact, Michelle spoke about it on the show.
Yeah.
I saw the videos, looked lovely.
And it's nice to have, this sort of music in Goa because, again, it's so niche. And also, I, as far as I remember as well, the Fundação Oriente in Goa, they have the Monte Festival. In Feb or something like that. That's also another element of classical music.
They have one in Macau also, no? Fundação Oriente.
Yes, we do have.
And would they have some things?
Yeah. So actually, recently they brought Goans to perform in Macau. Schubert,
Entre Nós, this
Franz Schubert,
Omar Loyola Pereira, and this singer. I think they're supposed to go, or they went there. She sings Fado.
Yes, I can't remember her
Tanya
name.
or something like that.
Something like that. But they did a performance.
Sorry, guys.
But yes, they did a performance. I think it was in June,
it's a trio.
July. Trio.
Entre Nós.
So they did a Konkani music, Fado, and all these things in Macau. So Fundação Oriente brought them to Macau to have that, and also Fundação Oriente in Goa, the president. Paulo Gomez, he came to Macau as well, and so they had this meeting, and
This may be a dumb question, but usually women sing Fado. Is there male singing Fado?
I'm not entirely sure. I
just thought about it now.
The thing is, when I have my downtime, I listen to a lot of Fado. But I never pay attention to.
Yeah, it's usually women, right? It's female.
Yeah, because you have Maria.
And Amelia, I think so. There are famous ones. But have you ever thought about singing something of that sort?
I think, as much as I love singing a lot of emotional music, I think that is too emotional. Because it's all about that sadness. Like your life struggles. And I think that's what Father's all about.
True.
Although you do have that happy sometimes music, but. I don't know. I've never thought about singing Fado. But for me, it was all about that Italian.
But Italian also is quite, emotional when it comes to. It can be sad. It can be happy.
But for me, I've never seen myself playing a comical role. Because you have different kinds of opera. You have opera buffa, which is like funny opera kind of thing, and then you have, the serious. Sad, heroic death opera, and that's where I see myself more in that passionate love, heroic death,
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
I mean, you're obviously telling a story, but how much of it is acting? I mean, is there anything that you focus as far as when you're on stage, telling the story, facial reactions, kind of thing?
It is so much about facial expression, whatever you're doing with your body as well.
Okay.
I remember I did this for my dissertation for my undergrad. I did this study on Delsart's theories.
Okay.
And it's all about the movement of your body, like how your fingers, how your head, like when you tilt a little bit, can signify a certain emotion, and all these things. How your palms, where your feet, legs, limbs, like all these parts of your body.
Right.
If you move a certain way, it changes the emotion of it.
Yeah.
And so that was like my thesis on that. And so when you're performing on stage, it's not only about the text and how you sing the text, but it's also how you express your body. So say, for example, if I'm singing towards you and I'm angry, like it's not just like that furious, but it's also how your body reacts to you, and you
the body language has to say,
and as well how you react to me as well.
Right.
It's a two-way thing. But if you're alone by yourself, like if you're singing a sad song about, oh, she doesn't love me and I love her and I don't know what to do and I'm dreaming of her, you're like contemplating, but you're not focusing on the orchestra.
Yeah. Don't do it at home. His wife is there. Hey, Neil, what are you doing?
But you're focusing on the music, so you're like, out in the distance, your eyes are gazed, like thinking about her, and it's all about your eyes, your eyebrows, your face, mouth. It's a lot of small details, and directors don't tell you what to do. It's all your own interpretation. They'll tell you, okay, you walk from A to Z, and stand there, do that, do this, but they won't tell you how to feel, because that is you bringing your own character to life.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean, it's so complex. It's so amazing, because I mean, in other words, you're an actor, you're a singer, you're a storyteller. And it's to get that and put it all together and get language into the mix, pronunciation. I mean, kudos. It's so. I mean, I don't have the words right now to tell you that it's so impressive of what you're doing right now, and you've kind of inspired me a little bit to get into it. I mean, in India you have Bharatnatyam, which is kind of similar as far as
like ghazals and whatever.
No, but more about the dance.
Yeah.
No, but what you're talking about, your hands and your the positioning and how you say it and tilt your head and all. So it's so complex. I mean, just listening to you right now, it's such a. It's so intricate, it's such a final thing. You're not just going up and singing. You're actually going and putting your whole body, mind, soul into telling a story.
Yes.
And this is the thing. It's like and the crazy thing is, when you do these productions, like every time when I weigh myself after, you like lose a lot of kilos, a lot of weight. It's like a workout, because you're using so much of your energy, your physicality, everything, your mental. It's so physical. It's basically working out, and
what's the average you lose? I mean,
I don't know. Like, I actually
how many kilos or whatever pounds lighter you feel yourself after this?
Like, I don't know. Like, when I did this production before going back to Macau for the holidays, like I weighed myself and I was like 88 or something like that, and like I knew I lost a bit of weight, but I don't know how I was before, but I knew I lost weight because it's so physical. You're sweating so much on stage. You have lights. You have people around you.
Especially the suit you're wearing, and depending on the costume you're wearing.
And obviously with the adrenaline as well, sweats you out more as well. And
right.
It's like driving an F1 car.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big F1 fan.
Really? Yeah, okay. It's they lose a lot of kilos because of the your gravitational pull, but more so about your heat, and you're hitting, that's why they have very strong necks on anyway, so that's a different podcast altogether. But I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, the fact fact that you're losing so much, I'm sure you need a holiday, right? After every production.
The thing is,
to wind up.
Honestly, I feel like I need a massage after every performance because your body becomes so sore. You're using so much of your body that you need like a massage every time because your body tenses up so much, and it's the back muscles that uses up more than the front.
Okay.
I mean, yes, you're using your abdomen and everything, but it's the back muscles. Your shoulders become so tense.
Okay.
And you just feel like you need a massage or like a spa day or something like that after a performance.
Yeah. But, coming back to the music scene, and I said, not many Goans listen, right? Is there any developments in terms of opera music and classic? Are they trying to do something different to capture the audience
Goa,
now?
or?
No, I mean, okay, generally. You said it's kind of dying.
It is dying, but I think...
Are they trying to do something different?
Well, when I was working with the Welsh National Opera, they were always trying to target new audiences, so the younger generation.
Correct.
So they would have, whenever they had a dress rehearsal, so if the first show is on Saturday, you would have a dress rehearsal on Wednesday. And they would invite students from schools, universities, to come and watch the opera, to make them, love...
Like a free performance.
Yeah, it was a free performance. So, I mean, basically, the dress rehearsal for the performers is like from start to finish for the first time kind of thing with the orchestra and everything. Yeah. So that's where they like take notes, and if anything was wrong, you fix it before the first show. But the people watching it, it's actual performance.
Yeah.
And they do everything from start to finish, and they get to see this beautiful performance for free, essentially.
Yes.
But it's more of a educational purpose, to see what they could potentially do in the future. It's an option. And, I loved going to watch dress rehearsals. And when I was doing my master's, whenever the Welsh National Opera had a production, I'd go and watch because they were always fantastic.
And I think also it's parents also are kind of involved in the sense they put their kids for like piano classes and things like that. And I think the parents need to kind of groom the kids as well.
For sure, but I think especially
that
now they know that music is such a tough industry to get into. It's such a niche, and you have to be extremely talented to do it. But like parents try to discourage kids to not do it because, again, it's either you become homeless as a musician or you succeed. It's kind of that thing
how
where...
much poche you're making end of the day. It's all about that.
And because it's not a regular thing that as an opera singer, you don't have like, you finish Monday to Sunday kind of thing. It depends. 1 month you might not get anything. 1 month you might be busy. So it really depends, as a musician, and whether you can sustain yourself with all that kind of work.
Yeah, because I was saying, one is the job part. I mean, if they want to look at it as a career.
Yeah.
And second is the listening.
Of course.
Not many people. So that's why I was wondering, you don't see many people like, I go for some free music sessions here in Dubai. And I've listened to like the three tenors and things like that. But not everyone, you wouldn't find people to chat with.
No, of course.
Yeah. So... that's why I was saying I think parents like teaching their kids from a young age about classical music. Perhaps that would be like growing up. I'll tell you. I was just going to tell Neil. Do you remember where we were like exposed to classical music, like growing up? Tom and Jerry.
Oh, okay.
That's
I thought
true,
of course,
There was this famous episode which is the orchestra one.
Yeah.
Man, that stuck with me. The music and all, It was fascinating. At the time, they mixed it up. And it was beautiful. It was really nice. I think everyone can relate to that.
And that's also, I remember like Tom and Jerry as well. Like, when he plays Rachmaninoff and, and it's so cool that, they always try to influence some sort of classical music into cartoons. But you don't see that now anymore.
You don't see that now.
It's all like adventure stuff. And
and it'll be like EDM or some, electro pop music, and it's sad, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
So, we discussed about it a couple of episodes back where we spoke about, how do we keep it alive? As we were talking about more about the theaters, and we were talking about, your Goan cultural scene kind of thing. And one of the things I asked was that, is there any kind of I mean, for the Goan boy who's kind of trying to figure out, hey, is this something that works for me? Is there anything which is there available online or anywhere where he can refer to see whether this is a career path for him, kind of thing? Anything that inspired you, or I mean, I know you said the three tenors kind of thing, but what's today's scene? Let me put it this way to you. Who's today's Taylor Swift of the?
Well, I think if you listen to Juan Diego Flores, you have some really new upcoming tenors. I mean, or singers, for that matter. But one of the big competitions that you'll always see people competing is Cardiff Singer of the World.
Okay.
And Operalia. So Operalia is done with Placido Domingo, so it's his competition.
Okay.
And he's the one who is in charge of who wins and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay.
But he also trains.
It's like would you say it's like a American Idol of not
sort of, yeah,
sort
but
of.
it's like the big competition, and if
Okay.
you win, you get record deals, and
Okay.
you could do
Okay.
different operas, and you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
hired for different things. And same with Cardiff Singer of the World, because that's sponsored with BBC in
Okay.
the UK. So, and the BBC Orchestra plays for
Okay.
that competition as well. So these competitions always, if you watch them online, and sometimes I watch them, and it's always so fascinating to hear different
I think that
singers.
would kind of inspire.
Yeah,
of
and you
course.
have different people coming from backgrounds that you wouldn't think that opera would be coming from there, or people who don't have the money, and you
Yeah.
read their biography, and you read the history about how they've come up and as an opera singer, and how they've made it now into these competitions. It's always so fascinating that it's not always the elitist who will be become an opera singer or something like that.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
always
yeah,
that.
right,
Again,
right.
yes, but there are people who also come from poor families, and have loved classical music, who have loved singing, and that's something that they've worked on and done shows here and there, and become something out of them.
Okay. Before, I think, we're sort of running out of time. As
we
always. I wanted to ask you, would you name your top 2 or 3, maybe albums or your favorite singers, I would want to listen to,
Your
everyone
recommendations.
should listen to
Yeah, your
recommendation.
recommendation. And keep one in there, which is for a novice like me, which has
Not Samantha Carpenter.
Well, I mean, in terms of operas,
Yeah.
I would say La Traviata.
okay.
It's the one with the famous drinking song in it.
Okay.
And that comes very early on in the music. La Traviata, you have Othello. Again, it's
Okay.
based on Shakespeare's play, but slightly different.
Okay.
The Marriage of Figaro.
Okay.
It's hilarious. It's funny.
Okay.
But in terms of albums, any of Pavarotti's albums.
Okay.
Even Placido Domingo's.
Okay.
But yeah, because they've taken different songs from different operas, and made a concert out of them. So with all the best.
I mean,
hits.
I remember you should listen to it, Neil. The Three Tenors live. That is
I
like the
heard that.
famous.
I mean,
yeah.
one that the
I got
very
the
first
CD.
one,
Yeah, I had
the
the
very
CD.
first one that they did in Rome, just before the World Cup in Rome.
Was it the Rome one or was
that's
it
like in the
with Zubin
Colosseum.
Mehta?
Yeah, Zubin Mehta in.
Yeah, okay. Because I
not the
remember
one
having
in
this-
Paris. Not the
No,
one
no,
with,
no.
Not the one with the Eiffel Tower or whatever.
Okay, no. I
Yeah.
think maybe I don't know which one. I had one.
But it's the
album.
one. It's the where they sing in this Colosseum,
Yeah,
in Rome.
I've
Yeah.
seen that. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are good recommendations.
Yeah.
I also wanted to become an opera singer. Yeah.
Is it?
La donna immobile.
Okay.
I don't know what I ate today. Only in the bathroom. I just need my shower head. I'm good to go. And I got an opera name actually, a good
Caracciolo.
Caracciolo Pereira. So it'll be a good opera singer.
Oh, the
name.
other one is Nessun Dorma.
Nessun Dorma, yes.
And then the last one is Vincero. And it's
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got it
Good
tiny.
one. Yeah, I got it.
You got a
Yeah,
tiny
it's
sound
Like a
bite.
small line or something. Can you
Yeah,
give us a little?
to wrap it up, kind of thing for us.
Manna tu sole più bellone, o sole mio, sta in fronte a te, o sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a te.
Whoa! Wow!
Thank you.
My favorite song too, huh? Sole Mio. Yeah,
Wow,
awesome.
excellent.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Orlando.
so much for having me here as
Yeah,
well.
great.
Appreciate it.
We look forward to hearing more from you, your journey, your success. We're going to have your handles and everything,
Yeah.
which you've shared with us. We're going to have your handles on showing somewhere around here. But thank you so much. It was such a great learning experience.
Oh, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Orlando.
We looked forward to this episode for quite some time, and we're very happy it's come, and we've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully in UK, we catch him in UK. And we go,
Yeah.
As always, thank you everyone for watching our show, and please keep supporting us. Like, subscribe. We are on YouTube, all the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, etc. You want to send us an email, kissmeamgoan@gmail.com. Keep it alive. Mo gasu.